this story is going so huge now. It's being picked up everywhere. Are you getting a lot of support from people now on Facebook and elsewhere?
And I believe that's why Monsanto is so afraid, because they before all of us wouldn't been able to get united. And united is with my people, what makes people strong. And the success of these protests, of them censoring my children's picture, it was thanks to this that we united. And I would love for people to understand that they have to stick together. It doesn't matter where they come from, doesn't matter what language they speak first. I mean, we are United States. We have to stay together, and what is wrong, and we should not be censored, and we should fight for it.
This effort by whoever censored your photo, whether it was Facebook working with Monsanto or a bunch of Monsanto trolls that Facebook allows to do this, or whatever the case may be, it backfired. It backfired big time, because your photo is now being seen by millions of people. We were getting 400 visitors every minute just to this article alone.
I'm so excited, Mike. You have no idea how much excitement I have, because what it was more important to me than slap Facebook with a white glove, it was actually to send that message on those lines. That's what is more important to me. I wanted to resonate in somebody's heart that biopesticides, it totally creates a predisposition for a child to develop autism. That is my message. I've been speaking for years about this since my son developed autism. I have a strong foundation to believe such thing. I have a lot of proof, I will say, that can totally back up my at this moment, of course, hypothesis, because I tried two laboratories to test my son for genetic pollution. And three laboratories, were three. And out of the three, two shut me down immediately after they knew that Monsanto owns the patent for Bt toxin. They didn't even talk about it. They back up immediately. And then the third one, when they grabbed all the information I had, they said, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I mean, Andrea, you're amazing. This is absolutely amazing. We totally are going to do this for you, and we have the resources, and we can do it." They even had a meeting with the scientists on this company. I don't want to mention names because they were really scared, and I don't want to harm anybody, but this is the truth. They were truly going to help me out to prove what right now is just a theory, but there's enough evidence to find out the truth, and they grabbed everything, right? And I have proof of all of this. I can give you copies. It's in my Yahoo group. It was hundreds of mothers worked with me for this, because 15 days went by and we didn't hear from the laboratory. And I put in the Yahoo group and I says, "Moms, I need help. We have to stay together again. This company promised us to test our children for the toxin that we believe is causing these epigenetic changes. That it comes from my biopesticide, okay? So the BT, to be precise, the BT toxin. And they are not calling us back. So here's the email they sent me. Let's call them. I give them the phone numbers, and we overflowed the company. All mothers grabbed that phone, and every single one called. So we put so much pressure because we keep filling up the phone messages system that they finally called me back. And they said, off the record, we are scared. We can't touch this. Monsanto has a law that protects them. We cannot touch their patents. We cannot even study them without their permission. And they will not give us permission to study them. They are so protected by the government that you cannot even test yourself if you think you've been poisoned by their poison.
So there's just another example of corporate ownership of intellectual property that stifles scientific research and stifles investigations that would be in the public interest.
Imagine the magnitude of this madness. They not only have the permission to sell you the poison, but they have the protection. So if you get poisoned, you cannot test your own blood.
That's amazing.
To find out if there is that poison in your blood. That's how bad it is.
Wow, so I hadn't thought of that, but you're absolutely right.
I was devastated. Oh, I can show you after we go off the air, I can totally pass you on all the proofs and everything that I have.
That's a whole
And
story all by itself.
oh,
I'm going to have to
absolutely,
cover that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Man,
And then
yeah, you're
people
right.
should know this. And then what happened is years later. So then I gave a conference on this on Palm Springs, California, 2007, I think, or 2008, at the Laya Foundation, and I had the audience was like full of mostly medical doctors and practitioners, because it's mostly it was a conference mostly dedicated to practitioners. After I finished my speech, they were so astonished of the evidence I presented that I had a standing ovation over 10 minutes.
Wow.
and nobody until today's day, and I've been asking people debate me on this issue because I'm so ready to explode. I say, debate me. I present my facts, I present your facts, let's debate if this ain't true, if this is not what is happening to our children. And they fear me because information keeps disappearing out of my hard drive, and it was so bad, the attacks to my PCs, that I moved into Macs, put it that way. And
wow.
I mean, and I have backup drives, so when I want my information, I connect it and I disconnect on the internet, and back and forth, because it keeps disappearing inexplicably. The information I had in hard drives, it just disappeared. The computer would just blow up by itself. I mean, it's ridiculous how many computers I went by.
For those listening who might be skeptical about that, it is true that we know the biotech industry, and I'm not naming any specific company names, but the industry at large does hire groups of hackers and PR trolls, basically, to go into social networks to attack people's websites. Anyone who speaks out against GMOs gets targeted and attacked routinely. And I think they have an entire war operation of hackers and trolls that they have running around the internet doing all this.
Well, let's think this for a second, Mike. My children find organic food is my medicine. It was the only of its kind. Nobody else said organic food is their medicine, because for our kids, truly it is. If an autistic child doesn't eat organic food, we're in trouble because they have an impairment immune system. They cannot detoxify efficiently. And that, I can prove it to you with genetic studies, okay?
Sure.
Genetic studies, undeniable genetic studies. Autistic kids cannot detoxify, period. So if any food contains traces of pesticides or chemicals of any kind, and worse, genetic pollution like GMOs, that produces its own pesticides within the food, if any of those proteins will end up in my son's gut, I guarantee you he will regress again and become profoundly autistic like he was. So for him, it's medicine. For me, it's a life or death problem if they don't label their food at least, so I can avoid it. So the second sign was biopesticides equal autism. Once again, it was the only one of its kind. And what it was interesting is that when my kids were walking through when we were marching and we had lots and lots of cars just stopping and reading and cheering us up and pressing their horns, and I was amazed. I was amazed because mostly were women. I mean, you can tell that they were probably mothers. And I was impressed that people were actually stopping in shock of reading our signs.
Oh, yeah. No,
and,
really
and,
good
and
signs.
they were like, what? I've never heard that one before. I mean, people marching with us, they said, what? Everybody was taking pictures of us there.
Do you still have these signs?
I have only one, my sign. The other two, before we left, some teenagers that were with us for testing asked us for the sign, so I gave it to them.
Really? You gave them the signs?
Well, because they said that they were going to stay an extra hour, and I couldn't.
I see. So
my
I think
kids were exhausted. We marched very good, a mile at least.
These are the most famous signs from the march now.
I know. But God works in mysterious ways. I try to always look at positive, whatever it is. I mean, I wish I could have kept them, but I didn't keep them for a reason. It created a tremendous impact on the kids that asked me for the signs, and I hope more people saw those signs and create an impact in them too. So I see it as a positive thing, at this moment. I kept my oldest son, he still has autism, so he still has traces of autism, and one of the things he has is that he still has trouble understanding how far he can go on controlling his emotions. So he was so excited about the process. He says, we are going to cause a revolution. say no to GMOs and screaming like that, right? So excited about it. And I was laughing and everybody was cheering him up and says, what's wrong with you people? Where are the drums? We need some drums here, because people were just marching kind of too peacefully. And he started making waves and says like, you people need to scream and get some drums. What's wrong with you? And then he started screaming, hell no, GMO, you know? And then people followed him. So he was like the leader of all the people there.
Oh, my.
And then suddenly he says a bad word because he overheard a teenager walking by that says the F word and says, F, GMO, Monsanto, GMO. So he screamed that, and I was like, oh my God, no, that one, no, that one, we can't do that one. And he says, why not? We are being honest here.
Wow, that's great.
That's one thing that is very incredible about kids with autism. They are very honest. They don't know how to lie.
Yeah, right. No,
and they can't lie. That was really funny, and all the people over there were like cheering them up and helping them out, making waves, and eventually somebody brought a drum. Actually, it was
That's great. Now, in terms of the big picture here of what's happening, I think what's fascinating is you notice how the mainstream media really didn't cover the Monsanto March hardly at all. I mean, this was a global march happening across 400 plus cities around the world, and it got almost no coverage. But now, the cover-up is getting coverage. So when they try to censor your sign, that's starting to get coverage, which is actually reminding people that there was this huge march involving probably millions of people around the world. So the word is getting out even when they try to cover it up.
Yes, and it's growing as the minute. I mean, I just got some friends contacting me from Ecuador. Says, "Oh, we couldn't believe this. Give us your story." So they want to repost it in Ecuador now, as mother of Ecuadorian kids, you know. So it's really going viral, and I hope it totally resonates with every corner in the world, because the reason Monsanto has so much power is partially, my belief, is that Bill Gates has joined Monsanto too. Now Bill Gates owns 500,000 shares in Monsanto. So, and he is the richest man in the world. So you bet he has connections and knows everybody in the mainstream media. And at this point, Monsanto is business, Bill Gates' business. Right. So that's why when I posted on Facebook before going to the march, I said, I feel like the 300 here. Because truly, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
We are fighting this monster $37 billion industry to defend our kids. Because to me, it's not about money. It's not about being famous. Matter of fact, I didn't even take a picture of myself. I didn't even want to be in the pictures.
Yeah.
What I wanted to is people to understand that these companies making these chemicals that we do not need is destroying a generation of children. Our children's health. If you can find one child in America that doesn't have one health issue, I mean, it's incredible. But everywhere I go, I see the children, and they have issues.
Yeah, kids are being devastated by all of this, and
big issues.
It is.
And
it's the GMOs,
and
pesticides.
I don't understand how people cannot realize and think for a second and say, why do I have this child with this syndrome when prior generations in both sides of our family never have seen this before?
It's because the people are dumbed down too. They're poisoned. Their brains are poisoned, literally. With
absolutely.
All kinds of chemicals.
One thing that scares me, Mike, that I've been seeing here, and what I'm noticing here is that the mother, I see the child with issues, right? And I can spot them right away. I mean, you bet I have a lot of experience with autism by now. I can tell you if a kid has indicators that he could have been affected by it. So I will, this kid was completely nonverbal, okay? Almost 5 years old, nonverbal, and doing weedo, and slapping his hands. And I approached the father and I said, hi, does your kid speak? And he says, no, not yet. And says, have you ever gone to somebody to figure it out, to explain to you why he doesn't speak? He says, oh, no. We went to the pediatrician, and they said that it's maybe because we are bilinguals. And I said, sir, your son is 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's not such a thing as non-verbal kids because you're bilingual. I said, if you visit Europe,